Thank you, Kelly. Thanks everybody for being here. We're going to go ahead and start off and I'm interested in how you all are doing during this weird time that we're all trying to survive. So I'm just going to kind of go around and see who's on my screen and ask you to unmute and just give us a little update on how you're doing and how your clubs are doing. So Bob Eatman up in Loveland.
Everything's going pretty well. Communication is not as good as I'd like to have. I'm having a little difficulty making contact with Mountain View.
Yeah.
So I'll keep pressing with them. They've got a couple of issues they're dealing with, and I'd like to jump in if I can, but we're not making connections. Other than that,
are they meeting yet, Bob?
Yeah, Loveland Club is doing a hybrid.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what the total attendance is, but it's probably close to 100 with the combined.
Okay. How are your satellites doing?
Doing well. They're meeting regular and still doing projects. They're the heart of the club. They really are.
It's amazing. Those two satellites just really get going. So that's kind of cool. Well, good. Well, good luck with getting a hold of Mountain View. I know they're kind of arrears on a couple of their dues. I think the RI dues and the district dues.
Yes.
So yeah. And if you need any help reaching out to them, I'd be happy to help with that. So let me know.
Okay, will do. Thanks.
Thank you. Hi, Julie Hafner. You want to tell us how Greeley's doing?
Well, Greeley's doing well. As far as I know, I send them messages, but I don't hear much back. So the communication issue that Bob just spoke of is kind of ringing true a little bit, but I'm going to hope that no news is good news. But just from what I hear and see on Facebook and from other friends, I think things are fine. And
Right.
So
good. Yeah,
I think there's,
go ahead.
no, I was just going to say, I think there's some, I think there's more desire to meet in person, but I think they're all still doing Zoom. And, but I think that there's a growing desire, but with the winter coming, I don't know how that's going to work, but.
Yeah, it's always a challenge, isn't it?
Mm.
I know. And again, because we have a different experience in the various locations in the district, I think Wyoming is almost all opening up, either having in-person or hybrid meetings. In Colorado, we're still having a lot of Zoom meetings, but some hybrid meetings. And so it's kind of a mixed bag. Do you want to give us a little update? Just let everybody know what's happened with Jon Stewart and give everybody a little update on that.
Well, our good friend Jon Stewart is at Anschutz Medical Center in Denver. He had a brain aneurysm that burst, and he's quite ill. He did have a stent put in, but he did come down with pneumonia. And so he's really ill, and thoughts and prayers are needed, frankly.
Right. How is his wife doing?
You know, she's hanging in there. Betty is frail, but they do have two sons who are living in Denver. And I think that she is with them quite a bit. So I think the sons have been helping. I would imagine that Cards would be okay. He, of course, can't have visitors. He's in intensive care. But if you want the address of where Cards should go.
Okay, Julie, why don't you send that to Kelly, and Kelly can send it out to the group of assistant governors. That'd be the best way to do that.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
You bet.
Thanks, Julie.
Sure.
Well, Miss Lynn up in Gillette, how you doing? There you go.
Sorry, it took me a minute to unmute. Doing very well. Our clubs are both meeting face-to-face. And the evening club is having an Oktoberfest on October 25th, and they have been able to get a variance so that they can have additional people, more than what have been allowed, you know, by the CDC, but are now being allowed through our state and county. And then our Gillette Energy is going to have their regular Cajun night. And Cajun night will be November 13th.
Okay.
So we'd like to invite everybody to either one if you wanted to come up and join us in Wyoming.
If your clubs will send an announcement, I'll be happy to get those out.
Oh, good. Thank you, Kelly. That would be
Are they
great.
are they going to pay attention at all to social distancing within the
Well,
room?
we're gonna try, and everybody's gonna have to wear a mask. And we'll have less people at the tables, and we'll have probably fewer tables.
Right.
But we have applied for a variance, and
Okay.
hopefully we'll get that as
So
well.
the clubs are paying attention to what the local and state guidelines are as far as gathering and those sorts of things.
Oh, yes,
Okay,
very much so.
very good. Good. Well, great. Thank you. Robin Sims,
Yes,
how's
thank you.
Cheyenne doing?
Well, Cheyenne, like a lot of Wyoming, is experiencing another outbreak or a peak spike. And so we're watching it. I've had conversations with 2 of the 3 clubs, knowing that if it continues down this trajectory, we'll probably have a period where we're just going to be Zoom only. But we'll see. We'll keep our fingers crossed. We don't really know. There's not one thing that we can pinpoint where the cases are coming from, so that's always frustrating. We've got 2 of our 3 Rotary clubs are doing hybrid meetings, the Sunrise Club and the Noon Club. The After Hours Club is still meeting only Zoom, but they're actively doing service projects, especially with the produce distribution to needy that's donated by Miller Farms. And so that just wrapped up, and they'll continue on with their next service project. The Sunrise Club also is doing a lot of service projects, collecting stuff for homeless families and all sorts of things. I do have some sad news to report in that Kathy Claywell, who's the president of the Sunrise Club, her son was killed in a motorcycle accident on Saturday. And so for the time being, Brenda Laird and the past president, Kevin Gill, will be covering that club and for as long as that takes, and I'll be supporting them however they need, which they think that they've got it. But so life goes on even during COVID and with all of the ups and downs.
Oh yeah.
Other than that, things are going. We're not. All of our clubs are seeing less attendance than we were before COVID. We haven't seen a significant drop in membership, but I've certainly seen a significant drop in engagement in Rotary. And so we continue to worry about that and have conversations about that.
Right.
And then we'll see how things go.
Right.
That's all I've got to report, other than I do have a basket back here that doesn't have my local beer in it yet, but it does have all sorts of other things in their local products and gift cards and stuff for the district assembly. So
Thank you. And I will
Hey,
be,
thank you.
I've got a special thank you to all of you that are helping with that from Brenda Laird. She wanted me to particularly thank all the assistant governors who really come through to help that for our assembly this week. So thank you, Robin. Holland, how are things up in the northern part of Wyoming?
Well, like most everybody else, we're experiencing a spike in cases, but we're not sure where they're all coming from either. Life goes on though. People are going about life. It's hard to find a mask walking around town. People just don't do it around here, as Barb might tell you from the meeting the other day, which I'm glad she was here. The Sheridan Club, I think, is doing quite well, and she might even be able to verify that. And they're offering Zoom meetings, hybrids, but people aren't really taking them up on it. They may try to promote that a little more. I don't know much about Buffalo since I was there a month ago and haven't heard a word, except when I have to send them notices that they're delinquent in their dues. And I hope they've either paid that or the check is in the mail.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately for Ranchester Dayton, they had an outbreak of COVID early in September and haven't met since. They're going to meet tonight and decide where they're going and what they're going to do going forward. As of right now, they have taken everything off the table for events for the rest of the year, but they'll let me know, hopefully late tonight or early tomorrow.
Everybody recovered who came down with COVID, as far as you know, Holland?
As far as I know, yeah, we've only had like 4 deaths in the whole county.
Okay,
And so, yeah, I think everybody's recovered. A couple others were exposed and they said, we just don't need to meet. And they meet in a very small place.
right, okay.
So they just shut it down in early September and we'll find out tonight what their plans are. And other than that, going forward, Sheridan's still hoping to have an ice fishing derby in February, combined with the other clubs up here if they want to join us for as a joint fundraiser and a chance to get outside and do something, have some fun.
Great,
That's still on the drawing boards.
great. Well, thank you, Holland, and thanks for all your good work up there. Appreciate
Oh,
it.
and I
very
have
much.
a small basket also, which I'll tell Brenda about so we can
Okay,
be included for, I don't know how many people from up here are attending, but there's a 3 or
Wonderful.
4 at least.
thank
Okay.
you. Thanks, Holland. Barb, did you want to say anything? I'll give you the opportunity.
No,
No? Okay, sounds good.
actually, it's all going fine. I go to Riverton tomorrow to
Okay, sounds
visit the
good.
club there, so. it's all
Wonderful.
good. And thanks,
Thank you.
Holland, for your great hosting while I was up there. It was good to see you.
And good to see you. Thanks for coming.
Great. Mr. Aschenbrenner, I-25 clubs.
Yeah, so Windsor's been plugging along. They have not had any issues. They're still going full Zoom. And just like everybody else, their engagement's down. They've got some people now who are starting to grumble about they'd like to get back together again, but most of their club is like, no. So they're doing fine. Hold on, I'm having an insane dog moment here. Hi, Majors. And then the Johnstown Milliken Club, I went out and caught them Thursday. They were doing a service project where they collect aluminum cans and drop them off. They make about $100 a month. So I walked up to him and their treasurer's there and he goes, I know why you're here. I said, I know I'm not here to bust you guys up about your dues, but it would be good if you got those paid.
Yes, it would be very good. I'm tired of getting email.
Yeah. So he assured me that he was getting a check in the mail the next day.
Thank
He
you.
didn't get the emails, whatever the story was. I said, I'm not worried about you guys, but do me a favor and just get that in. And then, so I'm going back this Thursday to help finish their can project.
Great.
So they're having their first meeting since March here on the 15th. So,
Great. Okay.
and they're trying to figure out where to do it because the place that they've been doing it has not opened the room that they typically use out at Johnson's Corner.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They haven't reopened that room at the restaurant yet. They've got the rest
Okay.
of the restaurant reopened, but not that room. So they're trying to figure out where they're going to meet.
Okay.
But otherwise, I think things are going okay. Northern Colorado, as you know, is a little still kind of twitchy about what's going on with the outbreak and a little bit of a spike. So
Yeah.
we'll just keep on keeping on.
Very good. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate hearing that. And you and I need to work out when I can come and visit with Johnstown Milliken when they get settled as
Okay.
to what they're doing as far as meetings. So
Okay. Yeah. And that may be a little bit of a challenge. I'm not sure how we're going to work that, but
yeah, we'll figure it out. Lee Barry Nelson's on the call. Lee, did you want to toss in anything?
Nope, just sitting here listening and eating my breakfast.
Oh, good. Sounds good. All right. Kathy Grousbeck up in Estes Park.
We'll see if she can get unmuted.
Can you hear me?
Ah,
Yes.
there she is.
You can hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, great. Wonderful. I feel like I was doing one of those old telephone commercials. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Well, in Estes Park, some of the smoke from our friends in Wyoming has kind of cleared up. So now we can, see outside and see what's going on in our own state. But the clubs here have been just tooling along just fine. Estes Park Noon Club had their famous duck race, virtual, number 32. And Chris, I see you're smiling, and so's Lee, because they both won prizes. So there you go. I'm not saying automatically district people get prizes when they buy, at a duck adoption, but it just so happened to turn out that way this time.
Yep.
But the really cool thing about it is we just about reached a goal of returning $100,000 to the community. I think we're at 96,000, which is pretty amazing. Yeah, it really is, considering this duck race was just done so differently. But here's the silver lining. Now we know how to do a virtual duck race. So if we ever have another calamity that makes us have to do it, you know, we've got one in the books. And to be honest with you, we are pretty sure we'll have to do a virtual one next year if we hold to our May 1st date. Because, you know, too many uncertainties about the pandemic and what's going to be happening and the vaccines and blah, blah, blah. And we've got to do all this pre-planning. So we'll see. But, you know, the good news is we know how to do it. We put it on the local Rocky Mountain channel. You can actually go there and look at a video of it because our local filmmaker, Nick Mulway, filmed it. And, you know, it's kind of homegrown, folksy kind of little program, but we think it's adorable. So we're just real happy about that. One thing, you know, our club has been distributing pumpkins to the kids at the elementary school for over 60 years. And actually that has been going on for about 80 years. There was a grocery store from way back that started it, and we picked it up 60 years ago. Not able to do it through Safeway this year just because the school did not, you know, want that passing on of fingerprints, I guess, whatever. So, you know, we've had to do a few things differently, but the community service committee actually painted a bridge over at the golf course. And the town says they've got a couple other painting projects on deck, so maybe next spring we'll do that. So, you know, it got a nice write-up in the newspaper, and people love all these things. And so our community service committee is really trying to make some strides here, and we're proud of them. The Longs Peak Club is looking forward to their virtual visit with Chris coming up later this month. So we'll do that. They're small. They meet in somebody's home, I believe, take turns, kind of social distance throughout a basement rec room. So, but you know, they're a hale and hearty group. They just love Rotary, and they do it their own way. So I'm proud of them. And then the Sunrise Club actually announced their community grants. You know, they had to cancel both their fundraisers in September, but by golly, they're still giving out community grants, and they did that, and it's very impressive and very active club. And I'll look forward to, they do a hybrid meeting, but I'll look forward to being able to join them personally, because I get kind of revved up about Rotary, just going to their morning club. Of course, it's early in the morning and there's lots of coffee, but, you know, they are just a super bunch of people. Estes Park is a small little town, but the fact that we have 3 active Rotary clubs is just very energizing. So that's a very nice thing. One last thing I wanted to mention, because it just kind of reminded me, if any of you are traveling to Estes Park and you come in on Highway 36, many of you are probably familiar with that big Welcome to Estes Park rock sign where everybody stops and gets their pictures taken. That was a community service project of our Rotary Club, the Noon Rotary Club, way back in the early 2000s. And it was a project design that was developed, created by a very famous Rotarian here who was in our club 40-some years, the late Roger Thorpe. He was a very renowned architect, designed most of the buildings in Estes Park. If you look around, you can see a sign with his name on it. But anyway, you'll see a very faint watermark of the rotary wheel on that rock. It's pretty prominent if you know it's there. But point being, the president from last year asked me to arrange to put a memorial plaque in Roger Thorpe's memory and honor at that sign. And I just want you to know, it took me a year to get through all the government tangles and red tape and everything else with CDOT, et cetera, et cetera. But we do have a beautiful plaque that was designed by one of Roger's sons. And I worked with his widow, and we got it installed, had to wait through COVID. But if you stop there, just take a look at it, just for memory's sake. But whenever I see that sign, I am reminded of how long things can take that look very simple. But you have to, get all the T's crossed and the I's dotted and talk to the right people. But it can be done. But the silver lining on that is, through that experience, I met a lot of people that I might have to go back to later on if we're doing something because of that association. So town officials, et cetera, et cetera. So I think we're doing okay. The smoke's cleared. The fire in the Cameron Peak fire seems to be a bit more contained. And, we're looking forward to a beautiful fall. Come see the aspen. They're just unbelievable.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Kathy, for that report on Estes. It's great.
Thanks.
Albin, how are things up in Casper Douglas?
Oh, fantastic. We've been active. Kind of like they were saying, we're everybody's meeting in some version of in person. Most of it, it's mostly hybrid type stuff. Almost everybody, I think, has a hybrid option where they're offering the Zoom and the in person. We just finished on Saturday. All the Casper clubs did a In Polio Now fundraiser. They went from last year, they'd done Pints for Polio, where it was beers downtown and stuff like that. We decided, obviously, a little bit of social distancing worked better, so we did a run. Quick put together. All the clubs put representatives out there. They all got together. They put on a great event. I haven't heard final numbers, but I think we decided there was probably 70 some odd registered. Based on the numbers on the bib, started at 101 and there was somebody with 176. So I figured there was somewhere in there. So raffle ticket sales went well. We had a lot of sponsorships, a lot of donations. We just had no problem with any of that. That was great. And like I said, that was Rotaract, Interact, and all three Rotary clubs were participated and involved in that. So
Great.
Douglas has been very active. Barb did her visit last week. I went down with her, or met her down there. We had a good meeting. They really seem to be doing very well. They've got a lot going on. They have a satellite group that's taken off and has
Really?
yeah, and it's got a really nice approach. They basically
Fantastic.
a hands-on project once a month. That's what they do.
There'd been quite a lot of conversation in Douglas about whether they were going to be able to do that. So good for them for getting that organized. I'm pleased to hear that.
It's gone well, and I took their process and I passed it on to our satellite group that's been kind of stuttering and starting. But I like, it's a hands-on project. That's what they do.
Love
they meet
it.
maybe 15 minutes and then do that project. So,
What a great idea.
yeah,
That's great.
so that sounds like they're doing really well. They're meeting and happy. There's been a pretty good red tape delay for the Casper Club. They had a large rock climbing feature going in next to the Crossroads Park, which is a large playground.
Yeah.
And they had approval from all the important people, and the parks guy was on board, loved the idea. That position changed hands, and it sounds like the guy that's there has just been running them through all kinds of weird issues and slowing it down. It's sitting down in Colorado, the wall's ready to go. And it sounds like really just no real reason, just red tape. But they're still working on getting that finished, and hopefully they can get there. Tonight we have a membership meeting with all the Central Wyoming groups. So all the clubs and Douglas, they're going to have a Zoom meeting, talk about what everybody's individually doing for membership, and ideas, and kind of a cool thing. Dale Malady, former assistant governor from different time. He's semi-retired and up here, or retired, I think, actually, I guess at this point. And he's joined our Five Trails Club, and he's kind of taken the helm with that and organized it. Really just looking to try to get some cohesiveness and group power of who, are we missing areas or industries or demographics or anything like that. So I'm excited for that call tonight. I think Lee's going to be able to make some of it. I don't know if Mandy's going to make any of it, but we've invited them. And so I think that's a really neat concept of getting everybody together. And so it's the membership chairs and some of the president-elects. And then I'm working on the district governor-elect celebration for Cherie. That'll be November 14th. And we're right now, assuming guidelines stay the same, we're maxing it at 50 people. So we're going to be RSVPing pretty soon. I'm hoping yet this week if I can get it done. We'll get an invite out to Kelly to send out, and we'll be tracking those count numbers. I've got most of the pieces in place for different volunteers that are helping us with things. So it's been really awesome to get involvement from some folks. So that's pretty much the rundown for us.
That's great. Thank you so much, Albin. Sounds like there's wonderful things as usual going up in Casper. Just so everybody knows, that celebration that Albin is planning is for Cherie when she gets presented at the Institute at the end of her training as district governor-elect. They always do a big introduction of the incoming district governors. And normally they'd have a big banquet and everybody gets to walk in and it's a really big deal. But since the Institute is going to be virtual this year, each of the districts is getting the opportunity to plan it and invite Rotary dignitaries to come and then open this up for the whole district to help celebrate that new district governor that will be coming in July. So that's what Albin is planning, and we'll get information out so people can join in and help celebrate Cherie as she gets ready to step into get the DG letters behind her name, not the DGE letters. So, but anyway, thank you for that. Who is at 4464 phone number? It's a Wyoming number. Well, okay. Anyway, there's a couple of things I wanted to let you all know about. The executive team. Oh, there we go. Who's 4464?
Okay. This is Dale Cottom. I had to double unmute.
Oh, okay. Hi, Dale.
On my phone, and also, well, I'm laying in bed with a positive strep test, and I'm waiting for my COVID results to get back.
Oh,
so I thought I'd sign in and just answer any questions. We do have some meetings going on, both in person and virtually, but things are pretty quiet. Participation is pretty minimal.
Right.
I would like to confirm of whether we've got the virtual visits from the district governor this week. I have one on my calendar for tomorrow, but I don't know if that's going forward or if we've had success in setting up any others.
Which club was that, Dale?
I want to say it was Evanston. Let me look on my calendar.
That's for you, Lee. Did you get that information?
You're muted. You're muted, Lee. You're muted, Lee.
Sorry. Yes. I do have that, and it's going to be a Zoom meeting.
Okay. I don't have the sign-in information. If somebody could send it to me, and I will sign in and participate.
Great. Actually, let me check to make sure I've got it.
Yeah, we were waiting on it from them.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So Lee, I'll let you and Dale connect on that if you have it, if you could just forward it to Dale.
So Dale, you're positive on strep?
Right, and I'm waiting. I was tested for COVID this morning too. There's been a lot of double positives for strep and COVID in Star Valley lately, so I'll see what the COVID is this afternoon.
Well, let's hope that comes back negative.
Yeah.
At least, it's horrible to say, gee, I hope I only have strep, but.
Yes, I know.
How are you feeling?
Oh, pretty weak.
Yeah. Well, thanks for being here this morning. Goodness gracious, that's above and beyond.
Oh, no worries. I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. I'll just watch for emails. Thank you.
You bet. Thanks
All
a
right,
lot,
take care,
Dale.
everyone.
Take care.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Goodness gracious. Okay, I said I wanted to give you that thanks from Brenda for the assembly. The assembly will start at 9 o'clock on Saturday. Kelly, can you tell us what our current count is?
163 as of this morning.
Okay, fantastic. And so everybody remembers we will begin at 9 and be together. We'll have the 2 breakout sessions that will be repeated at 10 o'clock. Holger will be joining us from Germany. So, and as I understand it, it will be right, you know, we're going to be very careful about that time because he has a limited time to be with us. So as we get to that time, I will be turning it over to Barb Redder, who will be introducing Holger, and he'll be doing his keynote address. And I think we're asking him, Barb, to talk about member engagement. Is that kind of what the topic's going to be?
Yeah, they asked, his assistant asked what we'd like him to talk about. And so I felt that, and listening to this call, I mean, I'm hearing that even more. So,
yeah.
You know, he's pretty inspirational. So, but I have asked him to address member engagement.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you. So we're looking forward to having everybody join us and having a really wonderful assembly this Saturday. And again, thank you all for all of the how you've been encouraging clubs to come and getting the baskets together to help Brenda out with what she's doing. She's very, very grateful for all of the help she's been getting from the assistant governor. So thank you for that. Some other things that we've got going. You've all been notified of any of the clubs that you're working with that might be in arrears, either on their district dues or on their RI dues. Really encourage them to get that done immediately because we're getting constant emails, and I don't want any clubs to get suspended from RI because they haven't paid their dues. So please just get them to pay them. I'm willing to talk to them about the district dues. I mean, my club was on the district dues and none of us ever remember seeing the bill. And I'm the treasurer of the club now, so I don't know what happened, but no excuses. The check's being written this week. So we owe the district $5,300. So I think the district governor better pay up.
Yeah,
Or
he
I'm
better.
gonna get my partners in the district governor line beating me over the head.
Does
They're not gonna
does,
want me to get away with that.
Chris, does your profile on Club Runner have your DG email or your old email that maybe that's where Teresa sent it to?
Well, I don't know, Kelly, because when Teresa resent me the bill, it came to my District 5440 email. So I don't know. And Teresa told me she sent it to the presidents and that Carl Alm, our president, didn't remember getting it. But that doesn't mean that somebody, you know, it comes in and you see 500 emails and you don't see it. But we're getting it taken care of. So
Perfect.
we want to get all that done so we don't have dues problems. So if you all would just pursue that with your clubs, that would be great. Another project that the district governor line has been actively working on is revamping our visioning program. We have been working to come up with a proposal to work with Mark Holt and Les Glover from Estes Park to put together a program for us to revamp visioning and bring it a little more current, and then also to help us carry it forward to strategic planning for the clubs. And so I think we've got a proposal that we're willing now to talk to the executive committee about. There'll be some money invested. And I think it's going to be a good program that will be beneficial for the district. So we will keep you posted. Our goal is to get this up and running and people trained to use it as soon as we can, because we are getting some questions from some clubs about how to use this. Lee or Barb, did you want to throw anything else in on that topic? We're good with that? I just wanted to keep you all aware of that. Pets planning. It's been fascinating this year to go through the pets planning process. You can imagine that the committee, which is made up of 6 districts, has been having quite a time trying to figure out how we're going to be bringing in a virtual component to pets, which is required. RI is requiring any pets to have a virtual, but the plan is to still try to put together an in-person event at the end of February in Denver. Personally, I'm skeptical that that's going to be able to happen because I don't know how we can bring that number of people to a hotel in Denver, because in Colorado, you can't gather that many people. And I don't know if things are going to be different than that. But there's been a task force put together under head trainer Phil Murphy from Fort Collins, past district governor Phil Murphy, who is looking at how to deliver the training for pets virtually. And Barb, you were on that subcommittee. It is quite a task. everybody needs to realize what an enormous job that is to try to take what we've been delivering in person and make it virtual. Barb, did you want to speak to that?
No, this is kind of the first I've heard that they're still trying to do it in person. Julie Johnson Hafner is also on that task force.
Yeah.
As a
I
facility.
haven't heard anything about in
The way
person
they
at
left-
all. It's
the
always
way-
been,
I think they're holding off on making the final decision for another month. We had the report back from your subcommittee last Tuesday, and it was made clear by the chair of the PETS committee that they are still planning for an in-person event. But I'm not sure that the district governor-elects necessarily agree with that. And my advice to Cherie, because it's the DGEs who have to set the curriculum, I don't think we're doing ourselves any favors by continually putting off the decision about being in person or virtual, because it's just going to make it that much harder. And Barb, you can speak to all the work you've had to do for the GETS and NATS training for governors-elect, how difficult that's been.
And it has been, although we said all along that it either has to be in person or it has to be online, and trying to do hybrid training is almost impossible. And really what that entails is 2 separate curriculums, 2 separate tracks. I just think that's crazy. And,
Right.
And I really appreciated when the zone director pulled the plug on Education Week early to allow the faculty and the education chairs to make that change and to start going down that road. And I think it's been pretty successful for what it is. Obviously you miss the in-person. I think we all realize that. It's not that we don't want to get together. That just doesn't make any sense to me that they think they can, what are they going to have, 50 people in person?
Yeah, right.
I mean, I don't know what the limitations are in Colorado, but I don't think they're very high. And
No, they're 50 or less in Colorado.
As Robin said on this call, we're going into winter.
Oh, yeah.
Not like things are going to get better. And so I'm disappointed, I guess, to hear that the committee isn't recognizing reality.
I think that extra month to really put our resources behind doing a quality virtual experience would be better than dithering around until later on. We're not even able to open up registration because we don't know what people are registering for yet. And
Yeah,
so,
we delayed a month, Chris. We were going to start our GETS and our governor-elect governor nominee training on the 1st of July, and it took us that entire month of July to kind of to revamp, and we started in August. And
right. Yeah.
So the same thing will happen with PETS, don't you think, Julie? That we have to go a different direction, and then
we need all the time that we can gather.
All the time.
And I think that my personal opinion is virtual can be done and done really well, but we need the time to get things pulled together, and delaying decisions are not in anyone's best interests.
Well, I think there's a meeting that's coming up with the district governor-elects and the district trainers. And I think that's coming up this week, and they're the ones that are really supposed to be planning the curriculum. And I know Cherie agrees with both you, Barb, and with you, Julie, that we really just need to make the decision to make this virtual and quit fiddling around with it being in person, because it's just really not going to happen. And there are issues around how to deal with the hotel and the contracts and all the rest of it. But if we don't get close to 400 people at PETS, we can't make budget. I mean, there's just no way we can make budget with the hotel. And I don't think the hotel can accommodate that. I mean, we can't have 400 people in that ballroom. And we can't get big dignitaries to come in this next year because Rotary is limiting all the travel. So they're not going to be there in person anyway. So all of it's, I think what people are grieving is they're grieving the loss of the personal contact, the networking, getting to meet all of your classmates from all the district. And we all get that. We truly all get that. But it's just not possible for us to be dealing with that. So I hope that the decision gets made soon. We will keep you all informed. As soon as we get a decision, we'll get it out to the president-elects and the nominees, and to you, the assistant governors. You can be encouraging your clubs as much as possible to make those selections of who their new leadership will be. That's always, can become a problem. And with people not being as engaged this fall, it could really become a problem. So if you can really encourage them to select that next level of leadership, it'll make our communication easier. So they can be thinking about that. So that would be helpful. But that's what I know right now about pets. So as soon as we get more information, we'll communicate that to you so you can stay aboard and get back with your clubs and let them know what's going on. So the other thing I wanted to let you know about, I did have a conversation with Beth Vandewey last week. Cowboy Country Pets is planning for an exchange in the fall of 2021. They're hoping to send students out and receive students back. So this, of course, would be the time when students are going through their application processes. So she wanted to be sure, first of all, she wanted to be sure that me as the sitting district governor was supporting the exchange program, and I do. And they're working with the State Department and all of the local health departments to make sure that they can put a program together that's going to work. Now, obviously, there are a lot of things that have to be in place for this to be able to happen, but they're optimistic that by next fall, that's still going to be able to happen. So the message that Cowboy Country Youth Exchange would like to make sure gets out there is that the exchange program is not dead. They just took a hiatus this year in terms of sending students out, but the committee is continuing to meet. They're planning and organizing and setting goals for next year. So let your clubs know that so that they can get with their contacts in the schools, that anybody that might be interested in the exchange program goes through that process.
Chris, I haven't heard anything on the application process right now from any of the committee. Are they currently actually accepting applications, or are they still revamping the program?
I think they're still revamping, but give Beth a call, Kelly, and see when they plan to start accepting applications.
Yeah, I think that would be a good announcement to go out because typically we're accepting applications now and they're due by October 31st.
Right. So let's touch base with her and get her to give you that information.
Chris, this is Holland. There's a Rotor or Interact student that's really excited about, applying to go out. So
okay,
we haven't had one go out for quite a few years. So
great. We'll try to get them plugged into the process, Holland. That'll be good. We also got an update from Karen Tressler, who is the president of the oh hell. What is it? I'm blanking.
RLI.
No, the other one for the kids in Estes Park.
Ryla?
Thank you. God. Send me away. You have to send me off to the island now because I'm losing my short-term memory. Ryla. This is Ryla stuff. Ryla is planning for next summer also. It looks like young Ryla will have to move maybe to Snow Mountain Ranch in Granby, which is another big Y camp here in Colorado. Where they have been down in Larkspur is they no longer will be able to meet there. They had a kind of a bad experience, and so they do know that they have to find something else for next summer. They're thinking young Ryla will be at up near Granby, and then regular Ryla will be in Estes Park. It may be that Ryla gets in Estes Park going forward, but that would be someplace after next year. But Rocky Mountain Ryla is continuing to work towards a change and get that going so that they can have an event next summer. And again, they're planning for that to happen. Yes, Barb.
So has there been any change to the ages of the participants? That came up at, I think in Douglas, didn't it, Alvin? They wanted to know if there'd been an expansion so that the people that they had selected to go this past Rotary year would be able to go. And I didn't think there was, but I wasn't sure.
Well, I'll tell you that when one of the Ryla meetings I attended as they were making the decision to have to not have it this summer, they did have some conversation around that, Barb, so that students that would have been eligible this year might be able to be eligible the next year. But I think what we need to do is check with Karen and see if that's actually happened and they've expanded that. She did not mention that to me in any of the conversations that we have, but I can certainly pose that question to her and get that information back out. Well, and since you raised the issue of RLI, thank you. More Rotary letters. Karen is also, and she had been working with John Stewart to revamp the Rotary Leadership Institute program also and kind of renew that a bit. And she's been providing some information back to the district governor line on some thoughts and suggestions that they have on how to do that differently, and also have a virtual component to that also. So we've just gotten their first pass back, and we're working on that also, and we're trying to get RLI a little bit revamped as we go forward also. Lee or Barb, did you want to toss in anything else on that? So we've got a lot of things happening by way of planning and review. We're taking this year to try to kind of go through some things and see how we can do better and make them available going forward. But we're not quite there to let them be released yet. So club visits are continuing. All 4 of us are getting out there. I came to the Greeley Club when Lee presented. I was at my club last week when Cherie presented, which was great. I'll be in the Steamboat Springs Club tomorrow for lunch, and then I will be with the Ski Town Club next Tuesday for breakfast. And I've got several that are coming up in different places. So we're getting out and getting those done as best we can. And I'm encouraged, I think, with Johnstown Milliken getting ready to start meeting again. I think they may have been our last club that wasn't actually meeting. And, you know, people are finding lots of different ways. And again, with 4 different states and all kinds of different experiences in the communities, we're finding clubs doing a lot of different things. I would remind everybody, just to be sure that everybody understands that they are taking on the liability of people coming into a venue to their meetings. There is no liability coverage through any of the insurance that Rotary provides. And I'm not aware that anybody is selling a policy that you can buy that will cover COVID liability. So the clubs are taking that on as their own responsibility. We did send out a suggested or a template for a waiver of liability that we put together. We had Billy Adelman from Cheyenne take a look at it just from whether he thought it would be enforceable in the courts. We believe it would be, but if you have any questions or the clubs have any questions, they should discuss this with their own counsel, because it is a legal issue and the club is taking the responsibility when they have guests, when they have members, when they have speakers, anybody that's coming into their meetings. And if they were to claim for some reason that they contracted COVID at that event, the club could be held liable, and there is no insurance coverage for that. So they should be aware of it. They may want to consider using that waiver of liability if they're coming into the room for anybody that's going to be there. So it's just something to be thinking about, having the boards discuss. But I don't want anybody to misunderstand that there's some kind of liability coverage for them, because there isn't. And Rotary has been very clear about that none of our policies will cover it. And in several organizations that I've been involved in, we've not been able to find COVID liability available anywhere at this point. And I think we're still too new. And a lot of liability excludes communicable diseases anyway, before we ever got to COVID. So we're kind of all out there. So just you're aware of that. And I want people to not misunderstand that point as we go forward. So that's kind of what I have. Kelly, did you have anything that you wanted to add from your perspective as the district administrator?
I think the only thing I would add is back to the pets realm. If you all could encourage your club presidents, secretaries to get their officer information put in the system. I email and ask for it, and I just don't get it. And especially now that things are up in the air with pets, we really need the next year's president's information in there, along with current year. We've got a lot of clubs that are not inputting their secretary and treasurer information, so then RI doesn't have it. So then they can't get dues invoices out. So we need to encourage them to please update their officer information. Other than that, I think we're just going right along.
Great, thanks. Albin.
Where's the best place to double check that to see if it's right, so I can follow up with people who need to?
Well, if you check RI's site for their officer information and see if they have it, then that means I have it.
Anybody else have anything else that they'd like to share this morning? Lee or Barb, anything else that you'd like to toss into the soup? Well, we sure are looking forward to seeing everybody this weekend. I think it'll be wonderful to have our assembly. It's a time when we all can get together. You know, I know we have 163 people. I hope that we have at least 150 that actually show up, because, you know, people don't have a lot of money involved in it, and sometimes, you know, they don't come. But again, we've still got room for registration. Just make sure they register so Kelly knows that they're coming. But I'd love to have a great turnout for the Rotary International president who's coming to be with us. That's a really special thing. And I'll really look forward to seeing you all this coming Saturday. I can't tell you how pleased I am with everything I'm hearing about what's going on in the district. Clubs are finding ways to be together. They're finding ways through this. Unfortunately, I'm fearful that we may be in these reduced ability to be together for quite some time. I don't know what the end game is going to be, but I don't think it's going to be a matter of weeks. I think it's more like a matter of months. But people are finding a way. I'm so encouraged by the great fundraisers and the publicity that Rotary is getting. I mean, there's good articles being written and good things are happening, and Rotary is getting a lot of wonderful recognition. So we'll turn this into a good thing in the long run, and we'll look back and say this was good. But right now, it just seems a little hard to sometimes keep that in mind.
Can I make one more comment?
Yes,
Chris?
ma'am. Please do.
Just on the assembly for the registration, everybody please register. I'll be sending out the link at the end of the week to everybody that's registered. I'm not checking my email when this is going on at the spring assembly and a district conference afterwards. I got on to find people saying, I never got a link. Well, they never registered. And I'm not making it public. And so we're kind of just encouraging that registration. So I'm not Zoom calling and checking my email at the same time during these events. So please encourage everybody that wants to come to get registered to get the link.
Great. Well, with that, thanks everybody. Stay safe.